Following the shocking declaration by the Kakin Empire that they will set sail for the Dark Continent and the introduction of Netero's alleged son, which stunned all the Zodiacs, we are now going to review episode 2 of our Dark Continent series. Finally, we will find out the actual contents of the second DVD left by Netero, as well as the terrifying information and revelations regarding the Dark Continent.
And let's not delay any further. Let's go! The title of our chapter today is Threats. The chapter begins with a scene showing the building of the IPA, or International Permit Agencies. A conversation is heard here regarding the purpose of the IPA. A man asks, saying, "Have you signed the contract?" Another man answers, "Yes."
So, the one who asked explains that their job here at the IPA is to research voyages around the world and organize the data collected from their research. Included in the data they gather are details about politics, society, biodiversity, and climate. They even identify risks and threats. They are also responsible for providing a country's safety index to show how safe it is. All of that is done right here at the IPA.
At this point, the director of the IPA is shown, who was the one speaking and explaining the IPA's purpose earlier. According to him, while speaking to this man named Steiner, the special unit Steiner is assigned to has an important mission or job, and that is to manage the voyages of all these continents. Steiner responds that he is already aware of this.
Because of that, the IPA director asks him what the #1 rule is for those working here, or for people assigned to tasks like Steiner's. To which Steiner replies that the rule is they must strictly screen all applicants who wish to sail to the New World. They must put the applicants through various intense types of questioning and training processes.
And if anyone qualifies, they are also obligated to accompany them and do their best to maximize the safety of the entire voyage. To which the director asks, "In short?" Steiner responds that, in short, they must never, ever allow anyone to go to the New World. That screening process, my friends, is exactly what Beyond Netero wants to avoid.
So Steiner explains while inside an elevator with the director that they really just need to keep the qualified applicants tied up, restricted. This is where the director explains while pressing the elevator button, saying, "But there's a problem." Steiner asks, "Is it about Kasukin?" The director answers yes, saying they're just doing whatever they want.
This is because they didn't sign the treaty or agreement of the V5. This allows them to bypass the screening process, just as Beyond did by not going through the screening Steiner explained earlier. So, the director adds that Kaskin is now demanding unlimited access for their voyage. And the biggest problem here is that their voyage is not just for sightseeing, but rather, this voyage has the goal of colonizing.
The director further explains that what the gatekeepers in the New World hate the most are people who lack manners. At the same time, a mysterious gate is shown, referring to the gate guarded by the aforementioned gatekeeper. One of the popular theories regarding the gatekeeper, friends, is the theory that the gatekeeper comes from Kurapika's clan, the Kurta clan.
One reason is that the pattern on the gate is supposedly similar to the pattern found on the medicine bottles used by Kurapika's people to suppress their scarlet eyes back then. Anyways, after that, the director adds that if the negotiations fail at the upcoming summit or gathering of world leaders, he says it will be difficult for them to stop the Kakin Empire from what they are doing.
To which Steiner asks, "What will happen if they can't stop Kakin?" The director answers, "Pandora's box." That the lid which should remain closed will be opened. Pandora's box is a metaphor that simply means not to open or touch something that could bring bad luck or many problems. Because of this, Steiner smiles and says, the director is using figures of speech now." The director replies that back in his youth, he also thought the stories he heard about the New World or the Dark Continent were just exaggerated. However, all of that changed once he arrived here. Here, in the place they have gone to now, which is a highly secured basement. Moments later, when the director opens the also highly secured door, Steiner is seen standing there.
While the director talks to one of the workers there, who is wearing a whole body protective gear.
The reason Steiner is just standing there, friends, is because of extreme shock. He cannot believe the things that are now confronting him. You can see, friends, what look like unidentifiable creatures placed in cells, and each of these used to have a human body that can no longer be identified.
So, while the director shows all of that to Steiner, the disbelieving Steiner asks, "What are these things preserved here?" The director answers that all of those were humans, or technically, they were humans before.
Moments later, the director takes something from a vault while speaking, saying, "The book called Journey to the New World, which was published hundreds of years ago. Back then, it was mistaken for a book written by a madman and was even categorized as fiction. Now, it is a book that can be called legendary."
And here, the director gives a book to Steiner while saying, "Your first job is to read every word written here." This book is just a copy of the book Journey to the New World, so Steiner is allowed to put notes in the book itself. Steiner asks, "What is the content of this book?" To which the director replies that the content is the heavy price or payment given to humanity for going to the New World.
And the payments or consequences he is referring to are still happening today, friends, here in their known world. The director further explains, saying, "You saw the many bodies there that look like wringed out towels, right? The book Journey to the New World also has records written about people whose bodies became like wringed out towels."
However, these ones Steiner is seeing now did not happen in, nor were they retrieved from, the Dark Continent, as written in the book. Instead, those bodies came from, or it happened right here in, their known world. So, Steiner asks if the victims have any record of going to the New World. The director answers that they have none, and that is one of the problems here.
Some say it is the work of the mafia, since those victims have connections to the mafia. But the testimony of those who witnessed it contradicts what others are saying. Because aside from the witnesses rejecting the theory that the mafia did it, according to them, the incident happened in an instant. In a flash, those people suddenly became like that right in front of them.
And among the witnesses to the event were doctors, teachers, pastors, and police officers. Based on those witnesses, the director says it would have been better if they were just on drugs. The director says he wishes that were the case, but as we can see, what the witnesses said is very real. So while they are leaving, the director says Steiner needs to read the book and submit a report next week.
Steiner needs to identify the risks from various angles regarding going to the New World. While the director is still speaking, suddenly a hand slams against the glass beside Steiner. Steiner is startled when he sees the locked-up man staring intently at him. While Steiner is in total shock, the director explains that this man is the lone survivor here in their facility. But he is no longer human.
He no longer eats human food because for 50 years, the only thing he has eaten to survive is his own flesh. Steiner asks, 50 years? The director responds that it's because the man doesn't die. And his report is even more detailed than what is written in the documents. The director adds that the man was supposedly a hunter before, who once went to the New World.
Moments later, the director concludes his words, saying, "Every time someone goes to the New World or Dark Continent, someone will always return, or they will definitely bring back a menace or a threat that has the potential to wipe out humanity. And what Steiner is seeing now is the result of the secret voyages humans made before to the Dark Continent to colonize, which happened after the treaty made by the V5 200 years ago. So even though the V5 made a treaty, friends, prohibiting travel to the Dark Continent, secret voyages still occurred after that treaty, and it resulted in those people bringing threats back to their known world. So after the scene at the IPA, when Steiner returns home, he reads the book and does research. After he finishes that, the second DVD given by Netero is finally shown or played. According to Netero in the video, he says,
For political reasons, the V5 avoided the Hunters Association back then and formed their own secret research team to go to the New World, and his son Beyond was actually the one in charge of the decision-making for that expedition.
So this confirms that Beyond is indeed Netero's son. Netero adds that Beyond ignored his warnings back then and insisted on going through routes that no one had ever taken or passed through. This resulted in numerous casualties. But aside from this, Beyond managed to return from that expedition, but he brought back some of the menaces or threats found in the Dark Continent.
Despite all of this, Beyond still wants to return and try sailing to the Dark Continent again. However, after that incident, Netero strictly forbade him as much as possible, or for as long as Netero was still alive.
Also, according to Netero, that was also when he prohibited the Hunters Association from going to the Dark Continent, while the faces of some of the Zodiacs are shown here, looking completely shocked by what Netero is saying. Netero further adds that in his youth, he had actually been to the Dark Continent twice already. However, the strength found there was not the kind of strength he was looking for.
Because what he wanted was an opponent. He was looking for strength in an individual where the outcome of the fight would be either victory or defeat. But in the New World, your opponent will actually be Mother Nature herself. A fight where victory doesn't really exist. And the strength his son is looking for is truly extraordinary or of a different kind.
He says the determination Beyond Netero has now in seeking that strength is what is also needed to explore that place. According to Netero, he can say that Beyond is actually more suited to be a hunter than he is because of that mindset, friends, or his determination to go to the Dark Continent. So now, he will finally answer the question regarding the situation.
And his answer is that he actually wants the Zodiacs to succeed in exploring the Dark Continent before his son Beyond Netero. So Netero wants the Zodiacs to be the ones to explore it first.
This was something that completely shocked the Zodiacs. Netero added that the Zodiacs need to overcome the dangers within the Dark Continent and return, bringing hope with them. And the difficulty rating for this mission is truly an A rank.
However, Netero further explained that this wasn't an order, but merely a request. That this request was just one of his selfish desires. And that selfish desire of his, my friends, was his wish for the Hunters Association to be the true pioneers in handling mysterious and dangerous things.
He said the reward for this mission is truly massive, but the risk associated with it is even more extreme, which would truly put the entire Hunters Association into a massive dilemma. A moment later, Netero ended his speech by saying that this request is not an order. He told them to just think of it as a short or small dream of a dead man.
That's why he repeated that this is not a command or an order, but only a request. And while Netero repeatedly said that his request wasn't really an order, the Zodiacs could be seen looking quite confused. When Netero's video ended, everyone there spoke up and concluded that what Netero told them was actually an order or a command.
So Misa Istom asked Beans that he needs to be honest. Did Netero leave any other last will aside from this? Beans answered that there was nothing else, at least to his knowledge. After that, Kansai said that the old man Netero really didn't know how to say goodbye. Botobay mentioned that he feels like Netero isn't actually dead yet.
According to Sacho, because Netero's hair was still long in the video earlier, he could say that Netero actually recorded this even earlier than the first video they saw. So, Ginta asked what Chidal had to say about what Netero entrusted to them. Chidal answered that since it is an order, then they have no choice in the matter.
But since Netero also said that it wasn't an order, because of this, they cannot involve the other members of the Hunters Association. Botobay replied, so only we Zodiacs will follow Netero's order to us. A moment later, Sayu raised his hand, saying he has no problem with them going to the Dark Continent, but he is strongly against the mission to capture Beyond. Chidal asked what Monkey's reason was behind this.
Sayu answered that Beyond is a unique person. He isn't into solving their problem that way, by hunting Beyond as well. In which Kanzai agreed, because if they have the same goal, it wouldn't be good to interfere with Beyond's group. Because if this is a race or a competition between the Kakin Empire and the Hunters Association, then they are all on equal footing. Ginta replied, "Equal?"
Chairman Netero's son has been preparing for decades for this day, while none of them had even thought about going to the Dark Continent before. But if there was someone, there is one foolish person who in Ginta's mind has likely been planning or showing interest in going to the Dark Continent for a long time, and that is none other than Jing Frixes. Jing can then be seen currently heading somewhere.
Returning to Ginta, he said that if Jing were to help them, he could say that they would be equal to the Kakin Empire. But Jing has already left, and even if Jing were here, Jing would still prefer to act alone. So Ginta concluded that the race Kenzai was talking about isn't actually fair, because Beyond is already much further ahead than they are.
To which Botobai explained that the hunt for Beyond will still continue as long as it doesn't conflict with Chairman Netero's order to them. Because the opinions of Sayu and Kanzai earlier were only based on their emotions, in which Mazayastom replied, shouldn't they first scrutinize or determine if the V5 was right to give them the mission to hunt Beyond?
This led the Zodiacs to have their own individual opinions on whether they would side with the V5 or not. But it's also a problem if they interfere too much, because the Hunters Association is a non-government organization, so their ability to interfere in relation to politics is limited. And that conversation, my friends, was getting a bit heated between Mizayestom and Botobai.
So Ginta calmed them down and told them they would just carry out the mission to capture Beyond, only if Beyond shows non-compliance and if he starts an insurrection. While the Zodiacs were having their discussion, my friends, a telephone suddenly rang. Beans answered it immediately. Upon answering, he was suddenly shocked and nervous by what he heard.
A moment later, after that scene, a person was suddenly shown. None other than the man who was the subject of the Zodiac's discussion earlier, and the person who called Beans Beyond Netero. He is now smiling and greeting Beans. And Beyond, my friends, has actually gone to the Hunters Association HQ itself and told Beans that it's been a long time since they last met, and asked if Beans' companions are likely the Zodiacs.
He added, saying, "Can you contact the V5 and tell them that you have caught Beyond Netero?" These words or request from Beyond completely shocked everyone in the room, because Beyond was suddenly turning himself over to the Hunters Association, while smilingly saying they should just call this turnover of his a give and take. So what could Beyond's plan be here, my friends, in turning himself over to the Zodiacs?
After that, the scene suddenly shifted to Steiner, who is now shivering while reading a book because he just found out about the 5 threats that were brought back by the people who previously sailed to or reached the Dark Continent.
And those 5 threats are known as, first, a mysterious sphere that is the protector of ancient ruins, the botanical weapon named Brian, a humanoid being whose head, my friends, is a literal sphere. Second is the so-called gaseous life form, creatures that want to please the desires of an individual. They are the Eye. Third is a monster that infects victims with a desire to commit suicide, the twin-tailed Hellbell.
Fourth is the trade-off between life and pleasure, the monster that turns humans into pets. They are called the Pap. And the fifth is the eternal suffering that masquerades as hope, the immortality disease, Zobe. This is the disease that infected the man Steiner saw earlier, my friends. And those are the 5 threats recorded in the book Journey to the New World.
In Steiner's mind while reading this, he realized that the Dark Continent is a place where humanity should not go. And the revelations and turn of events didn't end there, my friends, because in the last part of this chapter, Togashi drew a character we know who actually came from the Dark Continent, and that is none other than Nanika.
We always hear this entity use the word I or yes in Japanese. But instead of the formal yes in Japanese, which is hi,
When it comes to Nanika, she only pronounces it as I. This confirms in a vague way that Nanika is actually the gaseous life form, the I.
Since the I are also called the codependencies of desire, which is related to Nanika's behavior of wanting to please an individual. In this case, the one she wants to please and shows devotion to is Aluka's brother, Kilua, who loves Aluka and Nanika very much. Besides that, I also means love.
In addition, the description gaseous life form is similar to the black gas or smoke that comes out whenever Nanika takes over Aluka. Furthermore, the people who became like wrung-out towels mentioned in Journey to the New World, which were also seen in their known world, have a high chance of being victims of Nanika's power, my friends. In other words, there is a very high chance that Nanika is the I based on what Togashi drew.
So there, friends, in some kind of mystery, Aluka and Nanika, who is from the Dark Continent, coexist in one body. And the person who might be responsible for the possession of a creature from the Dark Continent into Aluka is something we will find out in the next chapters. We will end the chapter review on this panel for now.